Today I thought it would be fun to see how quickly we could get a legitimate private practice up and running. Now, I'm not a proponent of rushing anything. I'm big into research and taking time to make sure things are thought through and foundations are laid really well. But perhaps there's a need for someone to start something really quick and get things up and running as quick as possible. That's what this video is for. And if you haven't been here before, my name is Matt. I'm a therapist in private practice. I own a group practice and I make videos just like this to help people start, run, and grow private practices. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and like this video and subscribe down below. It's really helpful. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So for today's purposes, we are going to do a bare bones approach because speed is what we're working towards. Before we start, if you want to know how to start a private practice in a thorough and comprehensive way, that's the way I recommend it. Check out my other video called How to Start a Private Practice in 6 Steps. I go through a lot of things in detail over there. Oh yes, that's the other thing. We're talking about a solo practice at this point, not a group practice. A group practice is not something you can set up really quickly, right? So this is for solo practice only. So what we have to talk about first is what's not required. The first thing that's not required is a business bank account. You also don't need an office space, right? Especially if we're doing a virtual practice. You also don't need a business entity. So you're not required to establish a PLLC or an LLC or anything like that as a solo private practitioner. And those items, especially the PLLC, take a lot of time. So by not doing that right away, we are already cutting our time by a lot. So then what is required to start the private practice? The first thing that's required is malpractice insurance. Right? This is required no matter what kind of clinical work you're doing. You need to protect yourself from lawsuits and other things like that. So how long does it take to set up malpractice insurance? It takes less than an hour. You find the malpractice that you want. You then call them or email them. They will typically call you back rather quickly. And over the phone or on a Zoom call or even online, you fill out an application and it typically goes through that same day and you're typically covered that same day or the next business day. So this process right here of getting malpractice insurance, in my experience, it only took about a half an hour to 45 minutes and I was fully covered for malpractice. The next thing you need is an EHR or electronic health record. This is how you take notes and keep documentation. Alternatively, you could use paper. However, this is quickly becoming outdated and I never recommend that to anyone starting out. So then how long does it take to establish the EHR? If you know which EHR you want, it takes literally 5 minutes. You pick it, you sign up online, and you can start using it right away. I personally use Simple Practice, and once I decided on that EHR, I signed up and I began using it right away. So this process of getting your EHR might take you 5 minutes, maybe 10. The other thing that you're required to have is a HIPAA compliant way to see clients virtually. Right? So that platform, so whatever platform you use has to be audio video, something like HIPAA compliant Zoom, right? Or many of the EHRs that you purchase. I know for me, I use Simple Practice. The telehealth platform comes fully integrated. Considering there is a telehealth platform in most EHRs now, that process of signing up is 0 minutes because you've done it already. The next thing you need is an intake packet. This includes practice policies, informed consents, this kind of thing. Now, this one may take several hours depending on where you can get the intake packet. A lot of times you can reach out to a healthcare lawyer and they will provide a packet that's already been written by them and may need some minor tweaks. I know a lot of the platforms like Simple Practice or other EHRs also have templates that you can use. This would take anywhere between 2 to 5 hours from start to finish, depending on how quickly you work to go through all of those forms, make sure you understand them, to tailor them to your individual practice needs, and to make sure that they are compliant with all the regulations. Now, you will also need a HIPAA compliant way to communicate with clients. This is something like HIPAA compliant email, HIPAA compliant messaging, something like that. Now, once again, a lot of the EHRs are going to have a tool already built into the platform. When that's the case, 0 additional minutes is needed to have a HIPAA compliant form of communication. For example, Simple Practice, they have a built-in messenger, it's HIPAA compliant. I don't need to sign up for anything else. So to sign up for so to have a HIPAA compliant form of communication available for a client, considering it's built into the EHR, 0 additional minutes. If you want to use something else, you can sign up for something like Powbox or the HIPAA compliant Google Workspace. And if you decide to do this, that may take around 5 to 10 minutes to sign up. You also need a way to accept payments after seeing a client. And once again, this is already built into most EHRs. And because of that, this will take you 0 additional minutes. Now, there are other services like Ivy Pay that you could use. And if you decide to go that route, I would say it'll take you 5 to 10 minutes as well. And believe it or not, that is all that you really need to start a private practice. Malpractice insurance, an EHR, a HIPAA compliant audio video platform, a HIPAA compliant way of communicating with clients, an intake packet, a way to accept payments. That is pretty incredible. In less than a day, you could potentially be ready to see your first client in private practice. Now, the other thing that this did not consider was how to get clients into the practice. A couple bonus tips if you were thinking about other things that you need to do to get started, you can sign up for Psychology Today and have that profile, right? This might take you anywhere between 30 minutes to a couple of hours, depending on how skilled you are in writing a profile. The other thing you can think about is being able to accept insurance. And an easy way to do this is through a platform like Alma or Headway. When I signed up with them, it took only about an hour to actually get signed up. You had to talk with someone and actually go do it over the phone. And then it took anywhere between like 30 to 180 days to be fully paneled. So obviously that is quite a long time, but that is something you can consider if you want to also be able to accept insurance. So if you do have time, totally take the longer route, do your research, think about what you need, edit things closely, consult with lawyers, consult with accountants, and really take your time to make sure you're established well. However, if you're in a pinch, you can get up and running and be ready to see a client in 3 or 4 hours. That's some really incredible stuff. I don't know any other business where you can be ready that quick. Pretty cool. Anyway, I thought this was a fun little experiment to work through. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you learned something. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you soon.